Yo, yo, yo. What's up, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's going on, peoples? What's going on, everybody? Hello. Oh, Alessio. How are you, Alessio? Somebody's drinking the Kool-Aid. Eight more friggin' days, boys and girls. Eight. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. 8 more days. 8 more days. What's up, Dennis? What's up, Chris? Paulo? Hello. Oh my God. What's up, Draconic? Current passive tree screenshot? What? Thanksgiving jumping in to teleport us one day closer. Wait a minute. I was speaking to a couple of my US buddies. They were off today. That's a 3-day teleport. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What's going on with you guys? We don't get no 3-day holidays during the week here in Canada. We actually work for a living. I just saw the tree on Discord. What? Okay, I've seen that one before. I want an interactive one. Has anyone found an interactive one? It's more like a skill galaxy, yeah. Data miners are already on it. Yeah. So guys, the latest thing, hold on, let me turn this music down. So, oh my God, this soundtrack is, woof. So apparently you can download the game on Xbox and it takes you to the home screen. So the word on the street is the data miners are going to be all over it. No luck there yet. Well, I got to be honest with you. I kind of don't want to know everything. There was a game that we will not mention that did that. And you know how that went. Well, mind you, there was a lot more than that as a problem. But, you know, basically the game was shown before the release. And that didn't go over too well. So I don't want that shit happening in the Path of Exile 2. Okay, Alessio, you've used all your allotment of the following 2 characters put together. A D and the number 4 can no longer be put in a sentence. You've outgrown those 2 letters being associated together in a sentence. Please refrain from using those 2 characters together. Sir Groovalot, what's up? Yeah, the skill tree is crazy. Crazy. but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. No build guides for Sammy to defer to. That's it. My hands are tied like everyone else's. We're going to have to make our own builds. Too bad. The Saint himself is here. Hello. Waking up to see an email from POE saying, congratulations, you've been invited to the Path of Exile 2 Early Access. Wow. The Saint has gotten a personal invitation from Grinding Gear Games. Right on, Saint. GG's. Sir Grivelot, you can't sleep. You're thinking about POE consistently. December will be a blast. Staying in my Fortress of Solitude, blasting POE 2 and doing some artwork. Wow. Oof. Yeah. I contemplating going away, renting a hotel, and staying there, but I don't think that would have went over too well, and probably divorce papers would have been right at the front of the door as soon as I opened it.
Thanks for the follow.
Thanks for the follow, Saint. Welcome, man. And GG's on getting that confirmation, bro. GG's. I put money on like 30% of day one players rerolling once they learn the tree ascendancies. Yeah, Draconic. You know what I put money on? I put money on like the build, like the true build guides people, like the really hardcore ones. They are gonna fucking zoom past the campaign. They're gonna go hard. They're not gonna explore. They're just gonna whoosh right to the end game because they want to see what's down there. They want to see what they can do with the skill tree, with the atlas. They right. That's when the game starts, right? So I suspect the true build guide content creators, they're straight to the end game. Hey, what's up, Jason? You've been playing POE last night just to get a feel for the witch? Yeah, now remember, the play style and everything's going to be different in POE 2, but you can't go wrong going into Path of Exile. Just picking up on, you know, how it feels, some of the mechanics, not a bad idea. Don't look up build guides, just not necessary. Takes out of the... Yeah, there was a whole thing on X about that, actually, last couple of days. A couple of, like, you know, OG POE content creators are, like, really upset that there's already people theory crafting, you know? So there's a little drama. Nothing huge. But yeah, stay away from build guides, guys. If you see them, don't watch them. Nobody can give a build guide right now because no one's played the game. One thing I don't like about POE 2, though, is the simplification of the potion bar. Yeah. Yeah, Alessio, you probably need to play Path of Exile more to understand that. Like, the whole thing around the potion, the health potion and the mana potion was just, you know, the piano. Not only were you having to hit your skills, but then you also had to hit your potions and your flasks, and it was just a... And as Jonathan explained it, he was watching new players play it, and one of the things they struggled with the most was having to deal with pushing for skills and also for the potions and the flasks. A lot of deaths occurred because of it, so that's where the idea came from. And they were needed, right? Hey, Slug. I had my fun in POE the last 2 seasons by doing my own stuff. Settlers of Kalgor, by far the best league. For me, anyway, by a landslide. By a landslide. Huge quality of life. Yes, huge quality of life and absolutely accessibility, Chris. Bingo, bango, boombo. Absolutely. Path of Exile 2 is all about keeping the complexity, but lowering the barrier to entry. If someone were to ask me what's changed in POE 2 over POE 1, that's what I would say. Not knowing how to automate magic flasks. Yeah, Dusk Reaver, and welcome. That's another barrier to entry. That's why I think it's so good. Like, it's not a complex system, you know, modifying your flasks and automating them, as you say, but it takes a new player a long time to figure that out, number one. And number two, when you do figure out how to do it, you then need to accumulate enough currency to be able to re-roll the flasks until you get what you want. So again, multiple barriers of entry, right? Now, in the Cellars of Kalgor, you know, the currency market improved that and it helped. But that's completely gone now. You don't even have to fucking worry about it. So to Chris's point, big improvements, right? Big improvements. I love what they did. They're removing the unnecessary complexity. You know, shit that really doesn't need to be there. It doesn't improve or enhance or make the game more complex. They take that out. The low-hanging fruit, as I call it, right? Do we need this to keep the complexity of the game? Nah, not really. Okay, then why do we have it? Why did we make it complicated? Okay, how can we make it easier? And boom, you know, they do it. You've been thinking about Poison Hex Blast? Herald of Plague spread is big. My unique design put in POE 1 was a Quicksilver flask. So rip. Yep. No more Quicksilvers, boys. No more. Yes, there will be hideouts. Yes. I like how POE 2's endgame has an actual roguelike. There's no roguelike. It's Exile-like. Path of Exile 2's campaign endgame, it's XL-like. It's not roguelike. It's not Souls-like. It's not you-know-what-like. It's Exile-like. All PoE 1 MTX are in PoE 2 unless you're on a PlayStation. Correct. Correct. Unfortunately, guys, if you're on PlayStation, let's say your home was PlayStation and you played Path of Exile on PlayStation and you did for a lot of years and you bought those microtransactions and MTXs, I'm so sorry. It's not Grinding Gear Games' fault, but you will not be able to take those over to PC. That's the only one that doesn't move over is PlayStation. You'll still be able to cross-play, but no microtransactions, MTXs. Sorry, guys. Sammy, that video you posted has me seriously thinking about a minion starter build. The Witch is kick-ass. Sony really likes money, and they have a history of insisting on it. Yeah, and Sony has the power, and, you know, Grinding Gear Games is kind of like, you know, there's nothing they can do about it. It's unfortunate, you know? You can go to them and tell them, look, we have crossplay, man. We're doing something no one else has done with microtransactions. We're bringing them we're bringing them to forward. Like, this is what we want to do. Well, okay, no problem, but no, you're not doing that on PlayStation. Hey, Steve, which for the win? Pro tip about the passive nodes for new PoE decibels. Decibels? Use the search bar in the passive tree. It's so much helpful. For example, What we'll do when I do Dark Monk and trying to do an unnamed, I will search in the passive skill tree for unarmed. Very, very good point, Sir Grove. A lot. So guys, when you're in the passive skill tree, in the top right, I think, anyway, in the top is a search functionality. So for example, if you wanted to look up unarmed, like Sir Grovelot is saying, you type unarmed and all the nodes on the whole tree will be lit up that are unarmed. So if you're looking for a specific thing for your build and where to go through on the skill tree, that's a great way to search for nodes that have that skill that you're looking for. You have to go along with Sony if you want to. Yeah, Chris, exactly. So Grinding Gear Games is doing the right thing. Okay, whatever, it's your platform. And they just informed us, right? Hey guys, sorry. Unfortunately, all this applies except for PlayStation. So, and believe me, there was a lot of backlash, a lot of people, even in my videos, some comments, people were going to purchase a PS5 and they're not anymore. And then there was also the other side. They just purchased it and now they're pissed. You get 6 lives on a map. Yeah, there's going to be 6 portals. You only get 1 life per se with a boss. It used to be that you could, like, if you went to a boss fight and you got it down to a quarter and then you died and you went back in, it's still a quarter of health gone. So you can just, you know, kill it over time. In Path of Exile 2 with bosses, 1 life. You die, you go back in, it resets. You bring it down, you know, 99% and you whiff and die. When you go back in, full health bar. I'm sorry, I just joined the live. What's going on with PlayStation that people are pissed about with POE 2? Oh, hey, crazy alien. No, it's just about the microtransactions. So, you know, Grinding Gear Games told everyone that the MTXs are going to be, whatever you have is going to be brought to Path of Exile 2. Well, after, you know, we learned that, yeah, that's true for PC and Xbox, but not for PlayStation. Microtransactions do not carry to PoE 2 for PlayStation users because Sony said no. Well, because of how they do things. So Grinding Gear Games just, what can they do? It's not their platform. So that's all we were talking about. Yeah, so I was just saying how even on my videos on my YouTube channel, I was getting comments from PlayStation people saying, fuck, you know, I spent all that money. I've been playing for 5 years and now I can't enjoy it on PC, for example, right? Or they were planning on buying a PS5 and they're not going to anymore. Or they had just bought one and they're pissed, like all over, right? Like it's a sad thing, man. It really is. You know, can you imagine spending the money on a new console and then you hear this? Or, you know I would be upset. I've been playing Path of Exile only for a couple of years, and you know, all my microtransactions now can't be moved over to console, for example. That would piss me off. What's up, Asamari? PC is always king. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what I'm. Oh, okay, guys. So sorry. I'm just waiting for people to kind of stroll in. We are gonna watch. So on today's docket, Talkative Try did another podcast, and tonight was with Neversink. The brilliant mind that does our loot filters for Path of Exile 2. For those of you that use the Neversink loot filter in Path of Exile. So the gentleman that creates those loot filters that a lot of people use, very popular loot filter, on the Filter Blade website. Yeah, he talked with Try tonight, so we're gonna watch that interview and we're gonna watch some other stuff too. 8 more days, boys. Nerveka, what's dropping first? Snow in Toronto or Path of Exile 2? Ooh, good question. Hold on, let me check my weather. Stay with me, Nerveka. Stay with me. Let me see here. I hope Path of Exile 2. Let me see. What's the weather report? Let me see how to spell weather here. Let me do this. And I only have to do the weekly forecast and I get there. All right. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, shit. Oh, that's 50-50, Nerveka. There's a 35% chance of snow next Wednesday. God damn. 35% chance. I got my money on Path of Exile 2 dropping first before snow hits the ground in Toronto. Mark it. So does the store on the POE website also count towards POE 2, like if I want to buy stash tabs? CrossFit, yes. Yes. Yep. This is the Path of Exile website. So I bought the supporter pack. Right? I bought the $480 one, and as you can see, there are my... Oh, you can't see. Oh, shit. So like everything that comes with it, all the stash tabs that I bought in playing Path of Exile on the store here will all be moved to POE 2. Yeah. Not all stash tabs. So they have said whatever's not applicable. Like, for example, you know how we have certain MTXs for certain skills or certain weapons that only go on certain weapons. Obviously, if that skill or weapon is not in Path of Exile 2, that MTX is not gonna carry forward. And to Chris's point, if there's a certain mechanic or content that's in Path of Exile that's not in Path of Exile 2, then I would imagine that stash tab won't get carried forward over. But I would imagine the majority of the stuff that you have is going to go over. But again, if it's not there, it's just because it's not applicable in Path of Exile 2. So you're not losing it because you're never going to use it anyway in Path of Exile 2, if that makes any sense. Would wait until POE 2 launches to buy special tabs, especially currency. Yeah, like at the end of the day, to Chris's point, and I said this the other night, if you want to be economical and you don't want to waste, Chris is absolutely right. You know you're going to purchase stuff, so just wait till you log into the game, see what's there, and purchase. Or purchase as you need. You know what I mean? Divination stash tabs? I don't think are divination cards confirmed? Has it been confirmed, Chris? I'm not 100% sure on the divination.
Sir, just what are we facing here?
A relic of the old world. Ready your...
I'm not 100% sure on the divination cards. So I'm not going to guess. Again, guys, if you don't 200% see that it's confirmed, you know, take the smart approach. Oh, shit. That's right. Valid point. Thank you, Chris. Yes. There you go. So it's a pretty, yeah. So it's pretty well in there. Yeah. Excellent point. Right. So people that got those puzzles, there was two things that they could have gotten. Some of them got that they can make a unique item, and other people got allowing them to make a div card. So thank you, Chris. Thank you for jogging my memory. So yes, the div stash tab survives. No CrossFit. No. Nope. I don't see anything in here. Yep. I don't see anything that they've added. So they've not touched anything here. Nope. Unincluded league specific tabs will be in limbo for now, but that's okay. Yeah, Draconic. Yes. Correct. And you know what? It actually, you bring up a very good point. It's going to be very interesting to see. Ooh. It's going to be very interesting to see when we log into the game and there's a league specific tab that hasn't been confirmed yet. How is it going to display in game day one? That might be a good way of trying to reverse engineer what's coming. Some league mechanics might release later. Hard telling. Yeah, but Chris, Draconic makes a good idea. Like if there is a league specific tab that isn't in the game yet, right? And then we log in December 6th. MTXs carry over, except for PlayStation. What about those league-specific tabs that haven't been confirmed yet? What are they going to show? And can we use that information? Like, let's say something that's not been confirmed, okay? We log in December 6th, and it's there. Do we assume it's coming? Act 5 Blight was mentioned briefly, I think. Everybody's asking for Blight, but I don't think it's been confirmed. Yeah. Essences were, yes, essences were used in the reveal. Yeah. Like, you definitely, currency tab for sure. You know, I suspect the map tab, but some people have kind of thrown that back at me saying, well, we don't know, you know, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting, right? Like, now we have the waystones. There's a lot of things, new things that have been introduced that are tied now to the Atlas. Like, do they modify the map stash tab that we currently have? I don't know. Is it a new one? This is the stuff that's going to flush out, right? And depending on how they handle it, it could create some angst. Like, how would you guys feel if there was 3 or 4 modifications to the map stash tab, so they therefore made the decision that the map stash tab is not applicable in PoE 2. There's a new one. You know what I mean? I don't think they're going to do that, but I'm just giving you like worst case scenarios of shit that can happen, right? Yeah, Majin Koba. Blight's going to be in to exactly what you just said. Jonathan said it's such an easy league to add back. Like, it's not a problem, right? To your point. So I'm taking that as it's coming. When in early access, who knows, right? Again, they're doubling, you know, unless I heard wrong, I'm pretty sure they said, you know, they're doubling the size of early access during early access, you know, during the length of it. So they won't. I'd be a bit angry. They can change art, no problem. Oh, yeah. Well, you heard what Jonathan said, right? They have it down to such a fine art. Like you heard them. They can they have so many assets now. They can literally create a new map in like 2 days. Completely different. The environment, the color palette, like within 2 days. The monster, all that stuff. They have so many assets. I have no problem. I will save my 300 points from the $3 pack and see what stash tabs I need or can use them for MTS. Yeah, exactly. Yep. For those of you that bought the supporter packs, if you bought the $30 one, you get 300 points. You know, the $100 one gives you 1,000 points, you know? Mine gave me 4,800 points. Like, I have 4,900 points right now. I'm trying to convert them so I can give away more keys. I'm just waiting for GGG to give me the thumbs up. It also might be that on December 6th that there will be a stash tab sale or a week after. Yeah, you know, I've never paid attention. It's a good point, Sir Grove, a lot. I've never paid attention if there's a pattern. Like, typically, what do they do? Does anyone know? Did they do it a week after, 2 weeks after? Like, I know they have sales all the time with stash tabs, so that's a very good point. For those of you, again, that don't have FOMO, and you're willing to wait, Sir Groove a lot, has a very good point. You might want to wait till the sale because they do have stash tab sales all the time. Okay, enough the chit and the chat. Sale every 3 weeks. There you go, Chris. Sale every 3 weeks. Beautiful. Okay, let's watch Try's interview here. Let me do that, and I'll pause. And are you fucking kidding me? Wow.
Thanks for bringing us out on tour.
I mean, anybody that causes a prison riot singing about cats.
As much work on the filter, perhaps. Well, good audio levels.
Can you guys hear that okay?
Yes and yes. All right, perfect. Everyone can hear and see you well, Never Sink. My first question to you is, are you excited about not needing to do as much work on the filter, perhaps in Path of Exile 2?
Loaded question for the first question, but mixed feelings. So just to expand on that, when I started doing the whole filter work for POE 1, it was because I was very unhappy with the item system. Basically, I started it not because I was loving it so much, it's because I wasn't enjoying it so much. So I have like things like shadow myths and assassin's myths and all kind of items. I was just completely unable to remember what item was better and what item was worse. I found it very, very confusing. So I'm very happy that the new system is much more concise. I think in a modern game, this sort of overload of completely pointless loot isn't really good. And I hope that the new filter will be much more focused on just highlighting stuff and that they will be controlling the amount of drops in a much better way. So of course, it may even be the case where filters are completely not necessary. I don't personally think so, because if the game will have a booming economy, I think people will still want to have features like tiering, and potentially you still don't want to miss your off-screen mirror drops or something like that. So
The sound effects too.
Yeah. But overall, yeah, I'm definitely, I'm content. I think, even if at some point this is something I'm no longer doing, I think I'll be totally fine. I have my full-time job, I have my girlfriend, I have my game project that I'm working on. I'm totally okay with that. But for the time being, I'm expecting that it will just be a lot less work.
To be honest, Never Sink, I don't think people could ever let you go from the Path of Exile community. Everybody thinks you are absolutely goated. You've saved, honestly, our hands, our eyes for so many years now. So at this point,
That's for sure.
Thanks so much.
Truly, that's all I see. I mean, people, I'm not kidding, were as excited for me to talk to you as they were for the Jonathan interview. They're like, oh my God, you're talking to Never Sink, the god? I mean, your name is synonymous almost with Path of Exile League launch. There's Local Identity, Take My Energy, and there's Never Sink, Take My Energy.
It's an interesting tradition, yes.
It definitely is.
Thank you.
So going into Path of Exile 2, right?
You think
I
so,
one of the
Mr.
most
Grove?
curious questions is indeed how they are changing the item system. And one of those things is the fact that now white items might actually be useful. Do you see your filter perhaps highlighting certain white items as base types and like maybe even magic items instead of just completely filtering them out even at the start of early access?
Yes.
What do you think?
So, first of all, maybe to expand on that again, my plans for early access is at the very beginning of early access. I will either provide absolutely nothing or a absolutely minimal stub of a filter that will like highlight divine orbs and mirror shards and give like a sound to uniques, nothing more. Because to be honest, I don't have any data. I don't have any early access. I have not played PoE 2 since we've been playing it together in OA. That means I don't actually have any data to work with.
So how can he do anything then?
And if you've played PoE 1, you should know how many combinations there are. It's very easy to make mistakes. So the very first version at the early access launch will be maybe like a stub where you will get your divine orb sound and white red color for those orbs, and maybe a few highlights here and there. It will be absolutely minimal. In 2 weeks, around 2 weeks, I expect that I will make a highlight only filter. That means you can edit it on filter blade. You will have all the filter blade functions there. but the strictness system will not be enabled yet. That means you will be highlighting the items in a much more advanced way than at the start, but you will still see all the white items. It means, and then you can decide what you actually need or don't need for your build. So if you're, let's say you're playing a monk, you can then basically hide all of the white items you don't care about. And over the next like 1 or 2 weeks, I expect to onboard the strictness system. It's actually fairly easy to onboard at this point. It's more of a question of game knowledge. But I fully expect that players will want to see quite a few
Good point, Mr.
quite a
Cove.
few
Happy
white
Thanksgiving,
items in the
everybody.
future. Hey, cat. He's being here.
I gotta bring my cat over now. Dang it. It's totally fine. We can have cats on stream, right, everybody? Nobody cares about cats. People love cats, right?
Yeah, cats are awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I expect that people will want to see quite a few white items. At least right now, the meta might change like in a year or so when GG will be releasing more content, more leaks. But right now, I think we will actually need to see a lot of white items because that's kind of your usual crafting thing. This whole find a white item, transmute it, augment it, regal it, exalt it. Now, to be fair, and I know I'm kind of stretching the time here, to be fair, I think this is potentially one of the weakest parts of the POE2 review. I love pretty much everything about that.
Good point,
I
Sir
think this part is
Gurula.
actually a bit of a problem because it reminds me of Crucible League. There's like a lot of bottlenecks. One orb is missing. You have trouble crafting. It's very, very clicky. You'll be doing a lot of small, clicky, annoying operations that kind of like goes back to this whole RSI topic. So, I found the whole POE2 review to be amazing, and I'm super hyped for that. But this is probably would be my biggest complaint right now, not the white item part, but rather how we basically need to use a whole bunch of small orbs. But I might be wrong on that. Maybe when I play it, I'll be totally amazed. So I'm being very careful with this opinion.
Yeah. I think you bring up a good point, though. It might not be in the form of spamming something like alterations on a base type for many hours, but you'll need a very specific set and a large set of items to actually make the craft that you need. And what would you prefer instead of that? Is there a different system that you think might work better in an ARPG than what Grinding Your Games is doing, or is this just a consequence of them going with this crafting orb type system?
I've been thinking about that, and one thing I kind of come up as a conclusion is that basically each of those orbs, at least right now, without a crafting bench, only has one single use. So the transmutation orb only adds exactly one mod. The augmentation orb adds exactly one mod. The regal orb adds exactly one mod. Honestly, they could probably even merge those orb into one orb and tell that you need 1 transmutation to get it to 1 mod, 2 transmutations to get it to 2 mods, 3 transmutations to get it to 3 mods, and so forth. I'm not sure if this is better, but it would at least make the whole opportunity, the cost of opportunity much more clear. So do you want to really invest your 5th transmutation into get the 5th mod? Or are you totally fine with having like a 4 mod item? It would also make the whole spamming much more nice because you only need to concern yourself with like 1 slot. So unless they have other interesting use cases for those orbs, maybe it could be like 2 orbs, maybe, I don't know, transmutation until 3 mods, and then you need like an exalted orb, or maybe it could be transmute and regal, or transmute and exalt. I'm just thinking that I feel like the system is a little bit too noisy. I think elegant systems are good, and like GEG has concised the flask system because it was too many things that were just overlapping. I think this is pretty much the same issue. But once again, those guys, they're really, really good when it comes to elegance. I'm going to give them some time. I'm pretty sure they'll be, if this will be a problem, I have no doubt they'll be resolving it one way or another.
You keep bringing up better and better points, and it's really making me think here. So with something like a transmutation orb, only setting the normal item to a 1 mod magic item, aug plus 1 mod, and so on and so forth, do you think this is fully living up to, even though we haven't seen him in recent times, Chris Wilson's vision of, closing your eyes, praying, and clicking? Unless the mod pools are much smaller in Path of Exile 1, maybe like limited by item level and like something like that, I mean, you could brick an item pretty fast, right? On step 1, if you're starting with a white item and you use your transmutation, and you get a crap mod. I mean, is that item's done for essentially, right? Because
Mhm.
you can't re-roll a magic item. You
Yes.
need to get it to rare to start
Yes,
using chaos
yes,
orbs.
yes, exactly. And the removal of the scouring orb is probably the biggest change in the game. I would say this is by far the biggest change they've done,
They
bigger than
don't
the whole
exist.
socket system. I feel like well, not bigger than the whole, skill system, but the whole socket fusing jeweler
Mm-hmm.
system. So, um, yeah, it completely and entirely will change the meta when it comes to crafting. It allows for things to be not corrupted as an upside. So, like, you can craft your leak stones, or you can craft things like that. So it allows a lot more modifications, but at the same time, you have kind of there's this issue. This is also why I think why they remove physical reflect and stuff like that, because you can't really get rid of this mod anymore properly. So the chaos orb only removes one mod, and the now mod orb is probably too expensive to use. I expect those to be very costly. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a very, very, very tricky system. So back to your question. I think Chris would be much more happy with this system,
Yeah.
because I think it kind of, first of all, every decision kind of has a certain weight and a certain intent to it. You're not doing anything randomly. You're basically weighing up, hey, do you want to go the next more expensive step and invest in a regal orb? Is it worth it right now, or should you start anew? And if the utility with like the gold usage to buy new bases is good enough, I think it actually be a better crafting system than what we have right now, potentially, but it kind of remains to be seen. At this point, there's so many unknown things. What other omens are there? What other secret things
Right.
are there? What other potential crafting benches or items are
Started in
there?
his
So,
time here in Florida. So
it remains to be seen. I'm curious about it. I'm a little bit cautious. I think it's one of the weaker points right now when it comes to like the outright presentation.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to like the amazing ascendancy skills, end game, and so forth, which like 10 out of 10, no questions there. This is something like I'm not sure about this, but at the same time, I don't see it as outright bad. I see it at most a little bit annoying.
Okay. So on that though, on the ascendancies and the end game and the like, of the ascendancies in particular, Never Sink, which one stood out to you as the most interesting? I saw your little Twitter poll in which you were saying, "Oh, which class should I start? I'm torn between these three," and I think it was 33%, 33%,
Yes.
34%.
That was really fun to see, because I think this actually presents how well GEG has outdone themselves there. That everyone is basically, I think, except for the Ranger, pretty much every single class is nearly exactly the same level of hype. Warrior is slightly less. Everyone else is like nearly the same. And this is, I think, incredibly well, because the classes are just very well done. So I'm still not sure about those three classes. I'll probably decide based on the ascendancies. I think once we have like the actual data, because ascendancies, thanks to information yesterday, we know we can't really reroll them. So I will probably take a look at the skill tree once the game is out, and then see which ascendancy most fits my
Okay.
expected playstyle, and pick probably one of these classes. But from the things we know, first of all, Chronomancer sounds really cool, but it sounds a little bit more like a gimmicky class.
Doesn't it?
Until
Yeah.
Yeah, until we know a little bit more about it, it sounds super cool, but I'm not sure I would actually play it. I'm super happy with the witch ascendancies. I don't actually want to start with the summoner, but things like the blood magic for the blood mage, or the demon form, both are super amazing and fun to build around. Monk in general sounds amazing. The Gemling Legionnaire is probably the coolest thing I've seen in total. I think it's such a versatile thing. But yeah, I don't think there's any ascendancy I really dislike. I'm just a little bit
They're
worried
all
potentially
good, man.
about Witch Hunter. Sounds very powerful, sounds a little bit less flavorful.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the warrior ascendancies were very memorable. So I'm not
Mm.
saying they're bad. I just, like, from those presentations, like, I instantly remember something like the Chronomancer or the Witch ascendancies. The warrior ascendancies are just less kind of amazing, or less of a spotlight thing.
Definitely, yeah. The witch ascendancies were quite thematic, especially
Hmm.
demon form, demon dog, and the like, and the blood mage with the blood orbs that are spawning, and the crazy life gain, and the like. So, okay, many different webs based on what you just said. The one that I want to park on for a moment, and this we're not negative. We're very excited about Path of Exile 2. I know we just talked about crafting and how it might be a little tedious or
Mm.
whatever. The Ranger. I'm seeing this a lot of places. Why do you think that people are a little off on the Ranger? Because I remember grinding your game saying, the Ranger, oh, it's the best. It's so cool. And now that everything has been revealed in total, people seem to be a little lukewarm about it. Why do you think that is?
You know, I've been asking myself the same question because I have played so many archer builds and I usually love them quite a bit. But I think it comes down to multiple things. First of all, there was this one, it's a presentation we actually saw by Jonathan. I think it wasn't exactly a highlight, it was very slow. We were shown like one skill by one skill without support. And
Yep.
I think people kind of got scared off because when I think Ranger POE1, they think like tornado shot, lightning arrow, ton of ballistas. And when I see like the PoE2 footage, we are usually being shown off these kind of utility or boss skills like the lightning rod arrow, the plant pots, and stuff like that. I think people need to see something bombastic like the cluster grenades or the bow lighting or the sorcerers. And I think if they would shown like there was no real endgame footage showing kind of how a ranger looks like with these sort of skills if they exist. And I'm pretty sure there will be combination. I'm like guarantee that there will be combination with support gems that will allow for at least quite a lot of AOE. But I think just compared to something like the Mercenary, who kind of provides also range gameplay, but an interesting new spin on it, I think the ones who look for a PoE1 representation feel like, well, it's not enough. And the one who just look to start in the game feel like Mercenary just looks a lot cooler.
Hmm. And they also drew back on the Path of Exile 1 ascendancies for the Ranger. Do you think that perhaps they weren't having any ideas pop into their head, or maybe all those ideas were going to the Mercenary or going to the Huntress, who we don't know much about anymore, especially her ascendancies? Do you think that's what might have happened? Maybe
Hey, what's up,
maybe it's a
Demon?
little diluted, the Ranger, right? Or
So, guys, in the current league, Settlers of Kalgor, like the Ranger is down there. Like only 4% of players are playing Deadeye. So Trickster, Slayer, Chieftain, Juggernaut, Gladiator, Necromancer, Warden, Deadeye, and then Pathfinder. So Deadeye and Pathfinder, probably the two big ones for the Ranger. That's like 7% of the player base right now in Path of Exile. Just, you know, I know that's not a good indicator because every league is different. That's because of the melee boost. Yeah, exactly, Mr. Cove. That's my point. Every league. But again, I only started in 3.21, but I'm pretty sure there's been leagues where the Ranger builds have been OP as shit. I will definitely do Ranger Pathfire. I'm interested in those Caucasians concoction skills. Yes. Yeah, everyone brings up those concoction skills. Yeah. I don't know. At the end of the day, it's all like everyone, like I know I'm going to play all of them.
Maybe. I think you're onto something there. I think it might be the order in which they actually.
The true test is going to be when the game comes out. Everyone gets their hands on the build. Then that's when you do a poll 3-4 weeks into it and you do what Neversink did. Hey, what class? Then that's a good indication. But again, these are moving targets because it's going to change all the time depending on the league, the mechanics, all that crap, right?
Build those classes. Now, I don't know how they work internally. I don't know what kind of work style, agile style, whatever they do in their company. What I do believe is they've been working on the sentences partially one by one. So I think Ranger was actually one of those that was kind of an older class. It was kind of all right, let's say already half a year ago, because when we played the LA demo, La Ranger was already in a solid spot. It was playable. It was actually the one that people liked the most. But back then, the other ones were the weaker ones. So they revamped those and just stuck to kind of safe choices. But I do believe you'll see some revamps there. Like, for instance, the Pathfinder Ascendancy didn't speak to me at all. It was very forgettable, and the flasks, maybe they're very powerful. Maybe they forgot to tell us there were some very important details, like the overflow of the demon form.
The blood
is
orb.
like
Yeah.
completely critical.
Yeah.
But in the first sign, well, I can throw away my flask to make enemies bleed next. And this was kind of what I've been thinking in my head. This is not something that immediately sounds very interesting to me. So I believe they kind of go those things one by one. That's why kind of right now Huntress and Druid is kind of in the pipeline. And I do believe they will at some point return and say, okay, this is just not flavorful enough. How do we make this cooler? We need probably a bunch of new skills. I think we'll get there. But yeah.
Okay. And I got to ask you too about the warrior, because if I could choose what I started, my chat is choosing because they did a sub goal thing. If I could choose what I was starting, I'd do the warrior, man. It looks so good in my eyes, but I love melee. I heard you say you play a lot of bow builds in Path of Exile 1.
By the way, guys, poor Try is going to get screwed because he did a subathon or whatever he did, and one of the goals, if they hit it, was they were going to get to pick his class. They're going to make him play the Pathfinder, the Ranger. You watch, and he's, of course, the guy's such a nice guy. He'll do it happily, but as he's saying here, I don't think it would have been his first pick.
Is that why the warrior doesn't seem too enticing to you, or is there something else that looks off about it? Maybe it's too slow. It's really focused on those big meaty hits and seemingly blocking too with a shield.
Warrior looks alright to me.
Okay.
It doesn't look very much off, so pretty much I always play a different build every league. This is basically my main rule. I pretty much never repeat builds because it also kind of helps with the knowledge of for the filter stuff to pretty much know the game very well. And I bring every build to as fine to the end game as I can in like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm more or less done with the league. Anyway, that's off topic. And the warrior, so first of all, I think one of the biggest problems of the game right now is we only have maces in terms of melee weapons and then the staves. It's kind of ironic that we have no axes and swords or daggers and stuff like that. It's kind of very, very funny to see that.
They're cooking.
It's a groove a lot.
I think it was.
I like your sense of humor, man.
In the Discord, in the POE Discord, it's one of the GEG guys, and he said everyone in GEG finds the situation kind of awkward, but that's basically what we have to roll with. I think the mace attacks are some of them are very, very cool. You have like totems there. You have the stun bone shatter thing where you can basically trigger a stun, and there's a bunch of things that actually are very, very important. I think they're designed to be kind of like around stun, slow, and attack. But if you want something more of an aggressive side, like cyclone, sweep, cleave, all of these things, I think people are just won't find it there. And personally, I'm leaning more towards the second one, so I can actually see myself playing the monk. And I will probably play the warrior, but not as the first class. I don't think this is something I want to experience as the first class.
Yeah. So your first class you think will be the monk? Is that what you're leaning toward right now? Or could it change between now and launch day, which is only 8 days out?
Yeah, it will definitely change. I think it mostly depends on the teasers and on.
I'll be honest with you, Sir Groove a lot of people have commented in my chat what you just said. A lot of players tend to stay away from the meta builds and, the popular builds, and they make their own. So that's a very popular sentiment that people like to make their own builds. They don't like to follow the trend kind of thing. So, and Grinding Gear Games and FromSoft spoiled you. Those are two epic games there.
On the Ascendancy notes, right now I'm leaning towards Sorceress, potentially going with like Archmage and maybe the note leaked by Dreamcore. So there's some very, very cool interactions there that you could use. But this
Mr.
might
Code,
change
exactly.
like 20 times. I'm like 20 times a day thinking, well, maybe Mercenary. Those cluster grenades look very cool. I really like the VSD thing. And then maybe Monk, because I want to experience the boss fights, like how they're intended to do, and then freeze all the enemies. So it's like, it switches all the time, but it'll probably be one of those three.
Okay. Now, Endgame. Obviously, you're excited by it. I think most players are excited by what they've decided to do with the Atlas and which systems they've decided to introduce first from Path of Exile 1. You've been around since before the Atlas existed in Path of Exile 1, right? So you saw the
Yes.
transition from Atlas of Worlds to War for the Atlas and so on and so forth. Could you just maybe, I don't know even how to vocalize this, could you walk us through how wild it is seeing a system wherein you just run one unique map over and over, or Dominus runs or Piety runs, transform into a three-dimensional landscape that is infinite, and you're exploring all this stuff endlessly in Path of Exile 2 compared to, the flat map of Path of Exile 1?
Yeah,
It,
I don't see it as wild. I see it actually
no?
as a very logical conclusion there. So I think they actually learned a lot from their mistakes and from what they didn't like. So initially they started like with completely random maps as an end game with like random mods. Then they said, okay, there's not enough context. We're going to introduce like a map player there, add the shape in the middle, and that will be cool. Then there was like, okay, we want to expand on the system because it's so successful. They added the Elder, and then they had like this insane system with the Elder Rings. I don't know if you know this one.
I
It's
do.
been it's been very silly. Then they introduced like Cirrus, and basically then we had the Cirrus Maven meta. And the Cirrus Maven meta, we had the situation that okay, you need like someone on YouTube explain you like for 30 minutes how to play right, so that you would like do all of those, so that you wouldn't break up your atlas. So they can arrive to this situation. Okay, right now no one really understands what's going on. It's like kind of like it's nearly as complicated as Life Leech. So it's a highly complicated system. It's very hard to explain for new players. How can we simplify it to the point where it's actually much more playable and at the same time use as many
Toxic.
technologies we have? Because what the wonder of the end game is, I don't think they programmed a lot of new things. I think most of the things they were already existing.
How are you,
So
man?
the system is actually using probably a very Delph-like algorithm. I think it's pretty much the same set of, not exactly the same, but it's just a set of processing steps. They probably do use something like Voronoi clusters to detect those different biomes. Then this is pretty much exactly what Delph does. So they took the Delph map, created those keys, the waystones, detected the issue that okay, this whole system was like different maps. It's too complicated. This progression with okay, you need to progress in this way to unlock them in the most efficient way. This is too complicated. Having like nodes to increase the waystone chance and completion bonuses, this is too complicated. So they try to simplify this down to as little. So they try to basically cut off the ways the player could hurt themselves by basically
Right.
leaving in as much fun as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they've been actually very successful there. This is something where GG is actually incredibly excellent by. They constantly analyze their system, and I'm actually gonna assume I'm kind of having the hunch that this is Mark's work. So I very much respect many people at GG and most people there. Well, honestly, I don't disrespect anyone there. Should I say the one I know there is
We know what you mean.
the one I've been had the chance to talk to. They're very very incredible people, but I would say I probably would rank Mark the highest. I've been talking to him and see his work, and he's incredibly good at simplifying and merging systems in a more elegant approach. So this kind of way how he worked with like the trans gems, it's exactly the same way how he merged the scarabs. Is exactly the same approach they took with the POE2 Atlas. I could totally imagine that it was his doing and his thoughts. Okay, this is how we merge those systems into a meaningful form, cut out all the fat and leave only the important parts.
And allow it to be expandable by
Yeah,
players as
yeah.
well, with the
It's
way
genius.
that
It's really
the
good.
new tablets work as well. It just seems very intuitive as a Path of Exile 1 player, and I think even new people to the game, people from Diablo 4, people who've never played an ARPG, will come to pretty easily understand it if there's at least some semblance of onboarding, which with
Mhm.
the approach they're taking with Path of Exile 2, there must be. I mean, you played it in LA in March. At that point, they had the very basics of the skill demonstration system in place with Who is it narrating it? One of the people working there, his name is escaping my mind right
Octavian.
now. Who?
Octavian, I think.
Maybe Octavian was narrating it. Yeah, and they were great. I loved them. I think that's
Yeah.
going to help so many new players. It's going to help me as well.
Oh, yeah.
Are you a fan of all that stuff in the game? Do you think at all it's out of place, or anybody will be jarred by seeing these
Oh,
videos and
oh,
stuff in game?
absolutely. Absolutely. I think they could like the speech could be a little bit faster, but this is like my only complaint because I feel like they're very slow at explaining those. But otherwise, I think the whole features they've introduced to
Mage,
simplify the game
Mage and
are
Kobe.
mostly a
Goba,
great
my
step.
god,
Like
that's hilarious.
suggesting the 9 support gems you should use, I'm going to be using it totally. I will not remember. I don't want to like read through.
I don't know. Like, I don't understand why people will get pissed off about this onboarding stuff, unless you're forced into it. But so, for example, now we're going to be able to click on a skill gem, and if you want, it's going to pop up the window that's going to show the skill. It's going to have a description from some of the graphics that I've seen. What else? In the passive skill tree, you'll be able to see what the actual impact of the node is, but you have to hit shift or control, I think, to do that. Like all the things that are in game, I think you got to go, like, you have to press it to see it, kind of thing, if that makes any sense. So, unless it's bogging down players that already know, and I don't think that's the case, this is all about the fact that Grinding Gear Games wants to open up this game to a lot more players. Press the C like last epoch. Age red switch. One sec, guys. Sorry, I'm gonna keep playing.
300 gems, or maybe if the data gets data mined, I don't want to read like 300 gems and remember them all. I want to see, okay, these are the things I start with, and then my first playthrough will be mostly focusing, okay, which of those 9 is my next one? Which of these gems looks cool? So I feel like giving people kind of a good way to onboard their first character is amazing, and adding like a little bit of a voice narration, I think this is great. I think overall, this is just really, really well done.
Yeah, I'm
And
totally
there's
gonna
more, yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, and there's things like I think what Jonathan mentioned yesterday, that the recipes are gone, the vendor recipes. This is, I think, one of the best things ever. Some people were very protective of those. I think those were always one of the most counterintuitive things that were in the game. It's something that you deliberately needed to look up. I feel like the new implementation is just much more cleaner.
I still look those up for the challenges every league,
Yeah, I
every
don't
single
think
time.
they are exactly. They're kind of cool and very gimmicky. But if you want to attract kind of like a large audience, or don't want to create like a puzzle game, I don't really think this is just fitting to the core of a good game.
Yeah, and the way Jonathan described it to me yesterday was that you go and you discover these in places of the world. He didn't say it explicitly, but that makes me think that there's all these hidden nodes on the Atlas that hide these special crafting areas and the like, where you can find them randomly, much like you can find the nameless seer in maps. And if
Yeah,
you happen to have the proper materials or the proper resources, you can use them. Or the next time that you find that specific map or whatever, you can be prepared. I'm very excited to find all those secrets. That is probably my number one thing happening to Path of Exile 1 right now. All the secrets added into the campaign. It just for me, I only play like one character a league and I max out challenges.
hmm
And I love that. And the fact that they're doing that as a baseline, not only for the campaign in Path of Exile 2, but it seems perhaps with the Atlas system as well, is pretty cool. And the bosses never sink. Are you a big bosser?
yeah. I try to. So this is something kind of my goal is I want to get to the boss and actually learn to play them very well. So right now I'm not someone
Uh-oh.
who's really great at them. So it takes me quite a while to learn them, but eventually I do get them down. So at this point, something like fighting Sirius or Maven is something I can do more or less blindfolded. But unless it's Uber Maven, then I'll definitely mess up the memory game.
Mhm.
But yeah, it takes me quite a while.
So are you expecting Path of Exile's 2 endgame will frustrate you, excite you, challenge you, because everything is one and done now, man. I can't get that out of my head. How every fight could be like that first, at least for me, that first Maven attempt of a league where you're bare bones on your
Yes.
character. You might not be doing a meta
Yes.
build. You're like shaking a little bit. You're sweating. Everything is really wet on your deck. You're like, oh my gosh, I got to beat this Maven. And then you're on your last portal and it's just balls to the wall. You got to do it. I feel like that's going to happen with almost every possible boss fight now.
Well, this is another very interesting
Sorry,
point
guys.
to bring up, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit. So, I brought
Hey,
up
what's
my
up,
first
Josh?
point that I'm kind of worrying that the crafting is maybe a little bit too complex, too clicky. I actually think my second point would be GG is notorious that every single time they release a league, it would rather be overtuned and not undertuned.
Yeah.
Now we're going into an atlas where you have one attempt per node and only one map or portal per node. So,
Am I a
and there's going to be
bosser
a
in
lot of
POE?
unknown bosses, some of them specific or exclusive to these areas, and maybe some of them unique. So, I'm kind of.
I wouldn't say I'm a bosser where like I recently in Path of Exile did the Uber bosses and the big bosses. Actually, I don't think I've beaten Maven. But yeah, I will challenge them, but it's not like that's what my sole purpose is going to be, trying to, do them over and over and over. I'm more about the whole experience. But yeah, of course I'll do bosses as well, but it's not like that's the only thing I want to do,
The middle ground there. First of all, I think I'll be
Let
very,
it
very
dove.
excited because I'll be trying to build a character.
Am I going to run PoE 2? Yeah, I'm playing Path of Exile 2. Speaking of Path of Exile 2, guys, if you do not, while I keep stopping the video here, if you do not have a key to Path of Exile 2, oh shit, head over to X and find this post. I'm giving away keys to the early access. All you have to do is follow me, like the tweet, and retweet. And good luck. I'm going to probably be doing the draw on Saturday or Sunday. So if you need a key, so head over to X, find me, Sammy Caps.
With some proper defenses. I hope I figure out a few approaches. I want to take it fairly slow. I want to explore the game. I don't want to rush things. I think I'll be having a lot of fun learning the moves on the bosses and actually taking down all of the content. And I think I'll be having the time of my life. I'm super hyped for that. That being said, I can actually see a lot of people getting frustrated because I think PoE 2 will not be an easy game, and I think it might actually be quite hard. But then again, we have things like Elden Ring.
Yeah,
Who knows?
right,
Maybe
Josh.
this whole approach of no hand holding.
Happy Thanksgiving, boys, for all my American folks.
Is actually something that works quite well.
Yeah. I think that it's going to, one, cause a lot of rip clips to propagate across the internet, and two, it's really going to excite people with that. I think that's something that a lot of people may be missing in the modern gaming world, actually having some challenge in their game, and I think that Path of Exile is going to bring it. And maybe a lot of, I don't know if that's even true anymore. I was going to say a lot of Path of Exile 1 players who were very skeptical of Path of Exile 2, I swear, never sync. It seems like they have been brought in. Mark, Jonathan, Grinding Gear Games have done it the past week. I don't post a lot on the biggest Path of Exile community a lot anymore, Reddit, but people are over the moon about Path of Exile 2 now. That was not the case 1 week ago. All right, Wednesday night, last night, the night before the reveal, people were still dooming. They were saying, oh my gosh, 3 acts, no end game. It's going to be bad. It's going to be broken. No one's going to like it. You're going to leave the game in a few days. And now everybody's like, oh.
I'm glad he brought that up. All of the content creators that have been pushing Path of Exile 2, that's all they heard nonstop. Only 3 acts. I'm not going to pay to test the game. And man, oh man, I wish I could find all those people right now, because 360, everybody is like, oh my God, I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. Meanwhile, a lot of us were saying, I actually did a video on this and it's on my YouTube channel. So I got the receipt, and it was called, there's more endgame, there's more content than you think in early access. And I called it back then. So I'm just glad that Grinding Gear Games is, you know, getting the accolades that they deserve, because they've done a lot of work, obviously.
Oh yeah, I bought the $480 pack.
You're,
Like-
you're totally right about that. This shift of attitude has been amazing, and it's kind of on all platforms. And then before that, it was very doomy. There's like, oh no, POE is delayed again, and POE 2 is just a rehash.
A lot of people, Mr. Cove, are you kidding me? Even on my stream.
Right now, basically, you know, there's like I occasionally post on Twitter. I find the platform very useful. So there's these couple of people there that frequently reply to my posts, and they always been in like 2 years, they've been completely negative about everything. I just feel bad about these guys, because it doesn't really matter what I talk about. I might make a review of Diablo 4,
People weren't
of
happy
PoE,
about the
of anything.
3
They never
acts.
reply. There's
As soon as it
always,
was
like, a
leaked
negative
about the
attitude
3
towards
acts,
everything, towards
everybody
the
shit
game,
on that.
towards gems, so forth. And some of these guys, for the first time, I was nearly teared up. They made like a positive comment, saying that this looks cool and they're enjoying this, and I think they could play it and so forth. And to me, this was like, if you are able to take this absolute bow of unhappiness and hate and turn it into something positive that actually speaks about the quality and power of the presentation they've done. Now, of course, they actually need to now not to drop this bow, because they actually need to not to kill the servers. The difficulty need to be
They
okay,
can't
and all
complain
the things
anymore.
they've shown
Yep.
need to actually work. I do trust them on most of these things. I'm not so sure about the servers, but we'll see. But they had enough practice. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
But I'm very, very hyped, and I think the atmosphere is outstandingly positive.
Oh yeah. Now I need to get your predictions, since we're talking about servers potentially dying. Steam charts. What do you think we're gonna see on Steam alone? Easy. I think the peak on Steam was
2 something.
60 something. Maybe chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was in the 200s, right, on
Yeah,
Steam.
230,
Hopefully they'll help
240.
us out. I'm
gonna
expecting
go on
something crazy.
Sorry.
You go
I'm
first. I
gonna
don't want
go
to
on-
spoil.
I would say that it will probably beat 1 million. This is something that is a very, very high number.
No,
So
he's
500
talking
for sure,
Steam
it might
only,
be 1 million
bro.
there. I think the level of hype is just so high. I mean, it's pretty much the game number 1 on Steam now. After Steam Deck, which probably doesn't count, it is very, very, very wishlisted. It's kind of is breaking through. So PoE always had this bit of a niche reputation. It's kind of like EVE Online. It's this one game. It's kind of very complicated. It has a lot of flowcharts, a lot of tools, and you need to like learn a lot of that. And some of that is actually very true,
million?
and some of that is a little bit overblown. But because the kind of the wonderful thing about PoE is the league system, so even if you kind of go into the game and you never played it before, you can still be on equal grounds to everyone and still can experience your own little story. It's not like you are playing an MMO. But PoE 2 actually managed to do something. It feels like, hey, we're making this very, very cool thing that people have been hyping up. We are resetting that and making it available and playable for everyone. And you
That's
no
what I'm
longer
saying,
need a
Chris.
PhD for that. And I think this kind of like resonate. At the same time, Blizzard did their best to actually promote PoE with Rod's wonderful comment.
Oh.
And this, yeah, I saw your video.
They had, I think they peaked at 480, just under 500,000 on the reveal on Twitch. Now I know that's not the end all to be all, but remember, guys, try ask them what do you think they're gonna hit on Steam? Steam only, right? They're pushing people to play on Steam instead of the standalone launcher. Yes. Yeah, I got all my keys from my supporter pack. I have a key for Epic. I have a key for Steam. Like, I'm like, what? Because I think I got like 5 keys with my supporter pack. I'm like, why did I get a key for Epic? Why did I get a key for Like, I don't care about the Steam one, but Epic?
I saw Asmongold traction. I think that's actually helped a lot. It's amazing how Blizzard keeps promoting GEG with like Diablo 3, Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal. Um,
He's an
but
industry
yeah,
plant by grinding your
yeah,
games. Okay, Rod was planted in Blizzard by GGG. Did you see that in 2021, the official Path of Exile account tweeted out, "Good luck to Blizzard with their next
yes,
Diablo presentation. We wish them
Absolutely.
all the best."
Yep.
Oh, I just
I agree. And honestly, I think they've been so yeah, there's of course cheap shots between competition, and
yeah.
GG also did some, like the Eine line and the POE, so the Diablo Immortal comments, and honestly, well deserved. I mean, if you bring out something in Diablo Immortal, all you should deserve is the harshest criticism you can get.
Mhm.
But
Dread Switch.
still, yeah. So overall, I think the atmosphere is wonderful. I think PoE is kind of now seeping into mainstream circles. I think a lot of Diablo people will try it out. So I
Yeah.
think the chances are
Absolutely.
that the game will be reaching 1 million, and we'll see how it will hold. But I think it actually has the potential to become much larger than it is right now.
I completely agree, especially after 6 to 12 months of early access. When this
Yes.
game reaches free to play, oh, I can't even believe I'm saying those words. When this game reaches free to play and it's over double the content with all of the classes, all of the end game, all of the acts, all of the weapons and the like, I mean, it's going to be massive. And they're saying they're at 80% with a lot of this stuff, and they're just finishing up polishing. They decided to pivot and completely work on the end game, which needed the vast majority of the work. What are you most excited for to come into the game itself? Because it's the druid for me, just hands down. It's not even the druid, it's the bear form. Ever since I've seen that clip from ExileCon 2023 of it rearing up on its hind legs and then slamming down across.
I don't know. Getting back to the concurrent player count, I think that December 6th is going to be a bloodbath for for the amount of players. I think a lot of Diablo 4 players are going to be playing Path of Exile too. Plus the growth from the console, like from the growth in all the other areas. Like, it's a perfect storm to me. Number one, it looks like there's a shit ton of content, which ARPG players, content, specifically, it's everywhere, but it's definitely everyone always worries about the end game, right? And it looks like it's there in spades. So people are like, holy shit. And then the fact, and I know I keep saying this, but the fact that they've lowered the barrier of entry but still maintained the game quality, I just think it's going to be like the floodgates are going to be open. And I agree it's going to be over 1 million. But that's everything, like everybody playing on all the, console or PC, Steam, Epic, all that. Like, it's going to be over 1 million.
That bridge, dude, I think that is the beast.
Dread Switch, you don't think they lowered the barrier of entry to Path of Exile 2? Last Epoch, Lost Ark. I heard Lost Ark got some drama too, and I know definitely a friend who might. Yeah, but Lost Ark is always, there's always drama going on in Lost Ark. Okay, but combat is combat. Like, combat is as basic as you can get. Don't take me literally. Like, you're fighting. It's the only things you got to think about are the skills, movement, dodging, right? But everything else, there's no way Path of Exile 2 is going to be as complex to learn like Path of Exile 1. There's things in the game that inherently just educate the player more easily. Lowered entry as in controller now? No. I'm talking about everyone would complain, "Oh, I don't want to play Path of Exile. It's too complicated. It's too complicated to learn." Path of Exile 2 is not going to be as complicated to learn as Path of Exile 1 is what I'm saying. It's all of it. Less third-party websites. Like trying to figure out, we talked about it yesterday. Vendor recipes. You literally, unless you looked it up, you had to stumble on it or you would never know about it, right? If you were new to Path of Exile. There's a lot of information that is going to be fed to you in the game that's going to help you learn the game. That doesn't exist in Path of Exile 1. Path of Exile 1 is trial by fire. You got to learn by yourself. The game doesn't hold your hand or help you. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by lower barrier of entry.
The most beastly Path of Exile 2 clip out there. What are you most excited for? Any class in particular or thing in particular?
So first of all, I'm very excited for
POB,
like, second half of the
I don't know,
campaign,
Dread
but
Switch.
probably for different reasons.
Probably not,
I think
but
one of
who
the
knows?
coolest things they do with POE 2, and this has nothing to do with loot filters, is actually the redesign of the items. The items are much more juicy.
I don't think theory crafting is going to go away. People are going to go into POB and they're going to, theory craft a build on POB. I don't think they're going to take that away, but who knows? Only time will tell. What ascendancies am I thinking? I don't know what class I'm playing yet.
See in POE 2. They have like interesting base abilities on them and so forth. And I think, all of these advanced and expert things, they are right now in POE 2. Those
December
are kind of
5th, you guys will know.
There will be real versions from X3, 4, and 5. 4, 5, and 6. So I think by adding those X, you'll actually get a lot of new things to build your build with, like a lot of new implants and so forth. I'm very, very excited for that. But class-wise, I think I'm more excited about the ascendancies than the base classes themselves. But if from the classes, I would definitely agree it would be the druid as well. I think it's one of the coolest things. I think this whole combination of that one demo they've shown, okay, and now you can combine this all with this sort of trigger cast on whatever gem is like, okay, this, I'm sold.
I think that a Titan bear form is going to be beastly. I think that's the ascendancy that deals with heavy stuns and slams. And if you can slap the bear form and all of its slam abilities together with that, oh, the combinations, man, are just going to be wild. Now, if you're excited for the druid, wolf form, bear form number 3. I need your prediction. Roa? Bug of some sort? Like a spider? Maybe something. Maybe they're doing a Triceratops form. I mean, that would be wild. That is a very low chance, though.
No, it is GEG, right? The GEG. So the way they usually do, they would try to do like 2 normal things and try to do like something very exotic. So I think wolf and bear is a given. Now I don't think they can do an all beast without getting sued by Blizzard or something. But I can actually imagine them doing something like a dinosaur or a tree. I don't think it'll be something very classical forest related. It could even be something like some monstrosity. It's still a druid. Maybe an elk, but
yeah, because they said it's an animal form. Because they're gonna have other monsterish forms, but this is a third animal shape-shifting form. So
maybe it could be something like a bird, like maybe an eagle or something like something.
Well, don't do an eagle. Don't go there.
Definitely kiwi form.
Don't do an eagle. Right? There'll be another tweet from Rod.
They could do a Weta form, fully lean into that, promote their most popular MTX too at the same time.
Bear, pig.
So never sing. This is totally off POE 2 topic, but I need to ask you.
Sure.
The Goblin Troop. That whole topic. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think introducing an audio slider for MTX. It's the only MTX that would need it too, really. It's the only one that's egregious. Do you
Yeah.
think something like that is ever possible in the game, or do you think since they
Um,
sold it as a
mhm.
certain troll product, they can't reverse the promise they made to the customer? What are the ethics?
Okay, it is tricky, right? So first of all, let's first take a look at POE 1. They need to do something about heist. Heist is at the point where there's so many MTX there. I occasionally like to do some heisting, and then there's so many MTX that the game can crash or the graphics completely glitches out. So maybe we need some solution of that sort. Then when it comes to the Goblin troop themselves, well, and sound buffer that would be nice, but it kind of breaks the promise a little bit. I think it would be fine if they would at least make them play it like once a minute and not like once every 3 seconds. So I think I
Right.
would be totally on board with that. But the annoyance that is like in every town you'll find one goblin troop, and it's usually three, and they just non-stop play it. It's
It's
constant doodling. It's very annoying after a while because also very repetitive. Just make it more rare, and then it'll be at least like fine, I roll, and then you proceed doing whatever you do.
a stealth nerf.
You know, Sir Groove a lot. Like, I'm not getting spun up with all the different build ideas. They're great, don't get me wrong, but you know, they did mention they want like the uniques are going to have like crazy mods on them, right? Ones that we won't be able to get on the other rarity types. And they also said that they wanted uniques to be like gear that you could, you know, make builds around. So just the when I heard that, I'm like, oh my god, there's going to be so many builds if you go by what they said that people are going to just build around these uniques, right? So that's also going to be like we do a lot of joking around on this channel with these games, and like when Last Epoch first came out, just the build diversity in that game, right? Obviously, it fell on its face in the end game, but so I'm so excited with all these different possibilities, right? Like right now, everyone's talking about what we know so far, but we don't even know all the different uniques and what they are going to bring to the table from a build perspective. It's just going to be like,
To the amount of times that the Goblin Troop plays. That'd be a cool patch note find, you know? I'd love that. Because in PoE 2, all the towns,
why do
they
you guys
seem
keep
so thematic and
keep
atmospheric.
bringing up
And
D4,
Camille's
man?
music. I mean, you heard the Clearfell encampment, dude. It
Oh yeah,
was
now now that I think about it, you get to a new town and it's all gloom and doom, and then those bastards are making those
No worries,
sounds.
Mr. Cove.
that's all it's
Yeah,
gonna be. Because you know the PoE
Don't worry
community is gonna be
about
like, ha ha, yeah,
And
get screwed.
I can't even blame them that, because honestly, I don't think I will do that, probably mostly because of being ashamed. But at the same time, I can understand the appeal of actually doing something like that. So I honestly think GG should probably do something like that about it, because especially maybe doing early access or whatever, but doing release like an X4, 5, and 6, that should be even more dramatic. I think maybe it would be good to remove those things from there.
Oh, definitely. And apparently,
Oh,
Jonathan
really?
said it was just recently put on his radar. So maybe now that he knows, action will be taken, right?
Let's hope so. Let's hope
All
they'll
right.
fix the biggest problem in PoE 1.
Right, exactly. So we've been talking a lot about PoE 2, and we know much more about the game now. Obviously, there's a lot to still be discovered. So I have two questions that I'm asking pretty much everyone that I'm talking to in this little series here.
Mhm.
The first is, what is one thing in ARPGs in general that you think would be a revolutionary add? It doesn't have to be something that's existed in something like Diablo 2 or a Torchlight game or something from the past. It could be something that's from another genre, or just something you think would really change the landscape. PoE 2 is obviously trying to be the evolution of
Dungeons.
ARPGs. Do you think there's something that they might be
Raids.
missing out on at this point, given what we've seen so far?
It's a tough one, and I'm not even sure if I can answer that properly. I think what they've been doing very, very well is integrating different genres into the game.
Mhm.
And they've been trying out little attempts like mounts and so forth. I think what they potentially could try to expand on. I'm really thinking that the approach we usually take to
I
the
hope
whole
Try asks me this question.
inventory and item slot system, this is something that, in my opinion, is kind of dated. I think it could be. Would like to see more of a modular inventory type, or more of a modular, you know, slot type. So it may be a character where you can somehow get 3 rings, or have a downside to have multiple
Oh.
amulets, or even somehow increase
December 16th, I'm on with Try, Mr. Cove. December 16th at 8 p.m.
the number of weapons. You know, this is something I've been really thinking about. That this is something I've never really seen a lot of innovation in that regard. We kind of always stick to this base formula. It would be interesting to see if something like that could be expanded through different forms, or different classes or ascendancies. That would be interesting to see.
Yeah, an ascendancy that adds a third weapon set to your character of some sort. I could see the mercenary somehow getting that. You know, the Gemling Legionnaire has 3 extra gems, right? Maybe it's on the Gemling Legionnaire, man. You know, it could be one of those 5.
So when he came to me, the schedule was wide open. I could have picked any day. And I thought what you thought. I want to talk after the game is out. So I didn't want to pick right after because I know I want to play the game. So that's like 10 days in. I'm still going to want to play the game, don't get me wrong, but it's enough time that I can take, a 1 hour break.
5 nodes, right?
Yeah, you have an additional ring.
Yeah, exactly. On that, okay, the wild swings they're going with the ascendancies. We're going back into the episode, dude. Back to ascendancies. The rucksack on the Titan. Mark has taken a wild swing there. Do you think it's a W? Like, I mean, it's so interesting, right? But
No.
Who's gonna take it? Are you gonna take? Who would really take that instead of something that
So-
increases your power?
One thing that there's one important note is that after the rucksack, there's a second node. So depending on what the second node does, there might be a reason to do that. There might be, of course, an appeal for characters that actually focus more on, I don't know, crafting or looting. I remember playing this old game called Lineage. It was this Korean MMO, and there were like classes specialized on, like, getting more drops or crafting and so forth. I'm not sure if this would ever fit into a game like POE, but there's the second node, and this is kind of the one thing that kind of gives me hope. Maybe they have something cool in mind. They just don't want to spoil it. Otherwise, if it's not the case, I really don't like this decision. I feel like this should be just either a different system available there. That's kind of my preference, because I feel like maybe actually good for a game like PoE to have a little bit more quality of life. Or it shouldn't be there in the game to begin with.
It's just another rucksack behind the rucksack node.
Oh,
2
no.
rucksacks total.
Please don't.
I kind of agree with you. I think it would. I bet people would hate it, but it would be kind of cool to be able to unlock the rucksack for your character, maybe during the campaign or something, or a specific end game mission. Like maybe you get to a certain quest and you unlock that rucksack, at level 85 when you beat Pinnacle Boss number 2 or something. I think that'd be kind of cool. And I really like your idea of playing with the inventory system, 3 rings, 2 amulets, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's cool. And they are trying interesting things that I think other ARPGs did in the past. I think Diablo 2 was like, it let you dual wield 2-handers. Is that right? I didn't play it a ton. I was little.
Yeah. The Barbarian could do that.
So they are going for things like that. I wonder if there's anything else hidden within early access that we're going to find out about, right? Like dual wielding shields. Maybe there's a unique shield. You get to dual wield shields and the like. And I don't know. There could be some curious things.
I think there's still a bunch of things we haven't seen and that they have been intentionally keeping away from us. And I'm very confident that there will be a bunch of discoveries there. I mean, at the uniques alone, there's like 300 uniques. I'm pretty sure there will be some things that are very exotic and interesting. I have no doubt we'll be very much surprised, and there will be like a huge amount of exploration discovery. And this is probably what, going a little bit on a rant there, but this is probably what basically excites me most about this whole thing. I've been playing PoE for I think over 10 years now, and pretty much been playing every league. And in every league,
Wow.
it's been always a switcher of you. You go to POB, you sometimes deliberately research what you're playing, you look for builds, you try to look up things. I sometimes get anxious because I'm not sure what to start with. And at this point, I also have this probably unhealthy idea of, okay, well, you can't play something really bad. You have at least to play something that is somewhat reasonably good. Um, there's no real reason for that, because most of the time I don't even stream that, and even if it doesn't really matter. Then there's the whole filter thing, which is a huge amount of time invested every single league. And the nice thing about this league, I'm still doing some filter preparations, but it's nothing too urgent. And the whole, filter stuff is something I can probably dish out in like 2 hours. There's no issue with that. So this time I love the idea that we're all going in blind there. We have no idea what to do. There's a huge exploration phase. And I really, really am looking forward to this whole feeling of it's a new game. If we are not going in this whole POB preparation, or sometimes like whole Excel sheet, like the parties in my Discord, they have like this whole Excel sheet preparation. There's probably more work there than an average company. And yeah, I'm very, very excited about that.
You're expressing exactly what many others are thinking. They're all saying, oh, please don't be data mining leaks. Oh, please don't release the passive tree. Let's just all go in day one
Yes,
and
yes.
see those uniques linked in the global chat, discover the ascendancy nodes together. It's going to be so magical, especially those first few hours, as long as the servers don't explode. That's the big caveat.
Then we'll be exploring the passive trees.
Then we're like, okay, we're done. Screw it. We're going to the passive tree. You're so right, man. Now on the uniques, now I want to ask you about the uniques. Do you think that we'll see Headhunter in the early access in some form?
Yes, I think that is one of those uniques that will probably like, okay, that's fairly easy to add back. We need chase uniques, and this fits it, because Mageblood probably, I don't know what they would do with Mageblood. They probably would remove it for now.
It works with charms though. You could just have the charms have increased effect and always be active.
Yeah,
That'd
but
be busted.
It's dishonest, and kind of, it's very sad to give an item like Mageblood this little amount of effect. It would be kind of disrespecting its legacy. And I think there's value in symbols. And if you kind of want to bring back or kind of excite PoE 1 players, they see like, oh, Mageblood in PoE 2, and then they look at it and it's like, they get disappointed. And from a company standpoint of something like GG, even from a PR,
Guys, there's no way they cannot bring over Mageblood. Right? They got to bring Mageblood. They can't take that out. They can probably take out Headhunter, right? Because Mageblood is the one that's preferred over Headhunter, correct? If I'm not mistaken. Screw that item.
perspective, I don't see it as a wise thing to do something like that. Then they would rather keep it away, and then people would talk, okay, Mageblood could work like that, or Mageblood could work like that. At some point, they'll bring it back. So yeah, I expect Headhunter, yes.
Yeah. I wonder,
Yeah.
you think it's going to work kind of the same, where we steal rare?
Yeah, we want everything new, right? Keep it in PoE 1. Actually, you know what? I never thought of that. Yeah, they don't necessarily need to bring it over. Yeah, all new items to chase would make sense in PoE 2 anyway. Yeah. Well, obviously they would modify it. But, you know, the more I'm thinking about it, the more, yeah, keep it there.
Monster mods, or do you think it might be maybe more similar to the replica Headhunter, since there will maybe be more magic monsters, maybe a mix of both? I'm kind of curious about that. Since each rare monster fight is supposed to be a longer fight. What is longer? 4 or 5 seconds instead of half a second, like in Path of Exile 1, right?
I do expect it to work in a very similar way to how it works in PoE 1. You steal rare monster mods.
Yeah,
I think
Steve.
it also kind of balances it out a little bit, because I don't think they want it to be... So it will definitely make you faster and stronger, like in PoE 1, but the level by which it makes you faster and stronger shouldn't be the same as in PoE 1. So I think just keeping its usual function will probably be enough. They might actually reduce its duration or something.
Okay. All right, man. Well, it has been wonderful talking. I have one last question. I
Oh,
want
wow.
to get
Sure.
your thoughts as a veteran Path of Exile player. You've been playing every league for a very,
Mhm.
very long time, since the beginning, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, close beta.
What is Mark cooking up as the hardest pinnacle content in Path of Exile 2? What is that boss in the prison, in the maze? Is it someone we know, someone we don't know? Is it Izaro, Zana? Who the heck is it? Do you have any guesses on who it might be? Because I think I'm going to walk into that arena for the first time. And no matter what happens, Mark is going to have a Cirrus die beam flying straight at my head, and I'm just going to obliterate. And I'm going to be like, oh, okay. All right,
So
I see, Mark.
looking objectively at the thing, there's very few hints there, but the whole structure and the color there could be related to either Delph or to Calandra. Calandra had these hexagonal shapes, and I can actually imagine it would be Calandra because we saw in one of the teasers this sort of a harpy woman thing for a very split second. It was a very old teaser, and it was never really brought up. Maybe it's some boss from a later act, but kind of this red blood-stricken thing. I think it's keeping something away. It is something ancient, it's primordial. I can actually imagine this is something Delph or Calandra related.
That's an excellent. I haven't heard anybody say Calandra, but you're so right about the hexagonal shapes and the fortress outline. It definitely could be.
I don't want to know, to be honest with you. So you're going to play which, Sir Groovalot? I think the Warrior Titan is going to be a popular... Titan's going to be popular ascendancy, I think. The Warbringer. Fearsome frontline fighter conjures ancestral spirits to plummet his foes and has a voice so powerful his war cries can detonate his falling enemies. The Titan focuses on stuns, slams, and beefy defense. Call upon your ancestors to boost your slams, push your enemies to the ground, shrug off any attack. Warrior's going to be popular, I think. What else? The Sorceress. The Stormweaver. Become a master of the elements who can cast faster, hit harder, and chill and shock enemies en masse. The Stormweaver can even conjure devastating elemental storms. The Chronomancer wields powerful temporal magic that can reset cooldowns, slow enemies in her presence, and even freeze time itself. The Ranger has Deadeye. Expert marksman can take down foes with style. She moves as fast as the wind and can knock additional arrows with every draw. Pathfinder. You know, it would have been nice if they would have come up with different ascendancies, but whatever. Pathfinder's a master of flask and poison. She can turn mana potions into chemical weapons and stack poison to her heart's content. Monk, which I think is going to be a very popular build in the beginning. The Invoker wields the elements with ease and can use that power to become an elemental avatar. The Evoker is also a master of the spirit, allowing him to use many abilities without lifting a finger. The Acolyte of Choyula exchanges mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage, summoning power from the breach. He trades elemental affinity for chaos. And the Mercenary, the Witch Hunter, specializes in taking down the most deadly of foes with extra defenses against magic and the ability to break the concentration of its enemies. He is perfectly suited for slaughtering spellcasters. And the Gemling Legionnaire. Gemling. Enhance your abilities by embedding gems directly into your flesh. The Gemling Legionnaire can use more skills than any other class, and the more he uses, the more powerful he becomes. The Witch. This is the most badass looking, I gotta say. The witch. The blood mage. Become a master of life energy. The blood mage uses her own life as a resource to bring destruction to her enemies. And the infernalist. Transcends the need for mana, instead building heat as she can cast spells with an infernal hound at her side. She can even turn into a demon herself. And that's it. You're doing a minion build, CrossFit? Hey, Austin. In Path of Exile 2, already playable that I've paid for one of the early access things? No, it's not playable until December 6th, Austin. Even though you've bought and purchased a key. Do you think skills are going to be on cooldowns or mana on both? Oh my god, that's a good question, Len and Dove. Monk, definitely dark monk, and looking for an unarmed, if not that. Quarterstaff, no biggie for me. You still don't know what you're playing, Dennis? It allows me to load the game up. So you're on Xbox, Austin. So today, people on Xbox were allowed to download the game. So you'll see the screen. You can go in the menu, but no, you're not going to be able to play until December 6th. By the way, guys, for those of you that are coming in, if you do need an access key, I am doing a giveaway on X. Head over to X, find me, Sammy Caps, find my post about the giveaway, and good luck. So head on over to X. By the way, guys, if I'm trying to post on X a lot more. So if you are on X, if you guys can follow me and like my tweets and all that kind of stuff, I would appreciate it. But anyway, get in there if you don't have a key and you want to play early access. I'm gonna be doing the draw this weekend. It's already been a day. I got a shit ton of people already on it. It's approaching 25,000 views. So it's as are all the contests that are being done, the giveaways, sorry. I heard America starts on December 5th, 6 p.m. Central Time. I haven't looked into it, Steve. I don't know, depending on the region globally, if some will start, on the 5th or whatever. I don't know. I know in my time zone, I'm in the Eastern Standard Time Zone. I think it is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's in the afternoon. I don't know how that works out for, all the other different regions globally. Do I need to download Steam? Have a Steam account to play on PC? No. Steam is one of the versions of PC. PC has Steam. This site, which is the pathofexile.com website. See here, download now. You can play on PC on Epic, on the Epic Store. Yeah. So can I tell just from the title screen of the game it's going to have beautiful graphics? Yeah, the graphics are unbelievable. Will I need a dedicated POE 2 launcher? No. For PC, so for example, the launcher that I use through Path of Exile, it's the same launcher. Of course, there's going to be a download that day or the day before. I don't know. We don't know what's happening. Like, for example, Xbox, they downloaded it today. It's not playable, but they downloaded the game today. Yeah, Austin. That's normal. Every game, depending on what time zone you're in, it changes, right? So no, it's not on Steam only. You can go on pathofexile.com, which is this website right here. And boom, download. There you go. PC, Mac, Xbox One. PlayStation 5. Yeah. No worries. Okay. What did you guys think of the interview? Neversink knows his shit, man. I have to applaud him. Like, these loot filters. Oh, holy shit, man. I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it. What do I got here? This was a day ago. This looks, whew, this looks awesome. So ball lightning, archmage, and wild shards. This is the sorceress. Wow, look at that fucking staff. Oh my god, that's a level 90 staff. You love Neversink? Yeah. Wow. That looked awesome. And this was 2 days ago. Scepter item skill teaser. There you go, boys. Your minion builds. The sound in this game is so good. So good. Oh my god, so freaking good. Okay, so let's see if there's anything. Is there anything new here?
9 days to go until we all log in, and it's time for another POE 2 patch.
I am going to be opening.
Path of Exile has sent me a box. There's the box. It's a small box. It says, it's Valdo's puzzle box. I can find no method of destroying the dangerous contents within. Perhaps someday you will find a way. Another box. Imagine that. Let us begin. Okay. We have right here, it says, in collaboration with Puzzle Potato, escape room in a box. To those explorers who would follow in my footsteps, if you are reading this, then you surely find yourself enthralled to the wondrous realm that we call the Atlas. The dangers are unimaginable, but the treasures are as well. I myself have but a single concern, so I leave.
Okay, let's watch Jorgen.
Welcome back, you filthy exiles. So I thought I'd do this video just as a bit of a. I'm not going to give you a tier list. I don't believe in tier lists, right? I don't think they're relevant to Path of Exile. I've been playing the game for the best part of 11 to 12 years since beta. I've got 1,000 videos on my channel. Oh,
has he really, Steve?
Many of those are build guides of various nature. And in all of that time, there is just absolutely no such thing as a tier list in Path of Exile, and I'll explain why. But anyway, some of the videos that I've seen sprouting up of recent, and this is absolutely nothing against new creators coming into the scene. Absolutely 100%. You should be.
By the way, Steve, we learned through Jonathan that some people they get to design a unique item. Some people they get to design a divination card, a div card. It was random, right? They didn't. Grinding Gear Games didn't assign that. It was all random. It took his box 9 hours later. Yeah, I heard it was tough, man. I will say when POE 2 is fully released, there's going to be a lot of stuff to do in that game. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff to do in early access, Austin. Yeah, 1 in 10. That's right, Steve. Yeah. I think it was during Ghazi and DM's podcast with Jonathan. That's where it came out. I think Jonathan told him, "Oh, you got the unique. Wow, that's a 10%."
You know, if you want to have a crack, you absolutely should be taking a crack. It's a great time to especially capitalize on you know, a number of new players coming into the game. But it's the way that you do it that matters to me. And I think I made this comment to somebody yesterday. There's a big difference between putting out genuine content that builds quality of engagement and creates a quality community environment, and then, you know, bait posting, right? So basically, some of the things, if you're a newer player in particular, you should be looking at.
No, everyone's making a comment about the download because Xbox users got to download the game, so to speak, so they can see the opening screen, they can see the menu, but nobody can play the game. But Xbox downloaded it today, from what I'm hearing and what I read. And to be honest with you, CrossFit, I haven't gone in to see if I could download it, but I don't know. You can go look. All I've heard today was Xbox got to download it. He freaked out. You should watch a 6-minute video. Okay, maybe we'll watch it after this, Steve. There's outside of Try's interview with Neversink tonight, that's really what that's really only thing that's kind of popped up. Yeah, so what Jorgen is a really good builder in Path of Exile 1, so I'm kind of hearing there's this little controversy going on right now because some people did some theory crafting videos, and the community is kind of like saying, what the fuck? Why are you creating, you know, tier list build guides when no one's even played the game, kind of thing? So I'm very interested to hear what Jorgen has to say. This guy's played Path of Exile forever, and he does builds, so he broke his mic. He got so excited. I'm not gonna lie, from what they revealed with the endgame content, that looked a lot more crazy than Path. Yeah.
When you look at, like, you know, build videos about Path of Exile 2 so far, is if they have things or catchwords that are like strongest build ever, one-shot builds, immortal builds, unkillable builds, fastest build ever, best skill in the game, so on, you get my gist. At this stage, how would you know that? You don't, right? So we don't actually have the full ascendancies given to us yet to even be able to determine that, let alone we don't really know the scaling, we don't know the gearing, we don't know a anything. Lot. We don't even know the feel of the builds. Like, there's so many elements that go into a Path of Exile build. It's not just slap on skills, have fun, like chaining. We don't know, we don't really know how this works as well. Basically all these sorts of catchphrases, and then like really selling a build for what it is not yet currently. So, like, just for the sake of making a video, just to put a video out to get some views, is a bit disingenuous the way that I see it. And this is probably going to cop a bit of ire in me posting this, but as someone who, you know, I've been doing curations for a very long time, you know, I've seen a lot of different builds and a lot of different build creators come through, and there's some fantastic Path of Exile build creators out there, by the way. And unfortunately, I just can't, you know, get them all into the list that I'll put down below. But yeah, the way that Path of Exile builds work is different to like other games that I'm not going to say the name of the game that we're all thinking about, right? We all know what it is. It's different, right? It's not 6 classes and which class is better than the other class, right? That's just not a thing in Path of Exile. Path of Exile has a lot of varied content, right? And varying sort of levels of complexity of that content. And where one build might do that content really well, it won't do the other thing really well, or another piece of content really well. I'll give you some examples here. You might have a build that's incredibly strong at bossing. I give you a specific build in Path of Exile 1, Ice Trappers, right? Fantastic at bossing, but guess what? Horrible at map clearing. Totally trash at map clearing, right? So you would have to run like a secondary character, and then you would basically use that for mapping, and then switch to your boss killer, and then run your bosses, and then switch back to your other character, right? That's the way that Path of Exile sort of works. Another example, Breach builds, right? So Breach is coming back. They're going to be totally different to Simulacrum builds. So optimizing for Breach is just going to be a totally different thing to optimizing for Sim. Breach is probably going to be more clear, more like widescreen explosions. Sim is really focused on being able to fetter the field full of damage and be tanky enough to take the big hits from like Kosis or, you know, Omniphobia and stuff like that. If you don't know what they are, you new player, don't stress. Like the big bosses in Simulacrum, they're coming back into Path of Exile 2. They're in some of the trailers so far. Ultimatum builds are different to Sanctum builds, right? So Sanctum builds, you don't want to really get hit and you want to shoot from afar. Ultimatum, you want to be pretty tanky and you want to be able to really take some damage head on. And that's the parallel of difference between builds in Path of Exile. There's a use case for all of them, and this exists in other games too. But Path of Exile is quite unique in this nature, and it's why you can't really do a tier list. You could do a tier list based on the best builds to play in Sanctum, or the best builds to play in like Ultimatum, or the best builds to play in Breach or, you know, Ritual, for example. In isolation of their niche, you probably could do a tier list, right? But that being said, because every single skill can be used on every single different character, you know, you could build a warrior that could be a fantastic spellcaster. You could build a spellcaster that could be a fantastic warrior. That just gives you an idea of the way that Path of Exile works compared to other games. Moral of the story, I just don't like tier lists. And for the players looking at tier lists, I would really caution you around following tier lists. Unless, and there's a caveat to that, it's a list talking about like theory builds, you know, for example, concepts, this could work really well, but I'm not sure sort of stuff. That's the sort of commentary that you want to see around looking at like builds and build ideas and concepts. This is what I'm going to try. Basically all these sorts of discussions, like engaging discussions, but not specifically telling you this is going to be great, this is going to be fantastic, is the sort of content that you want to really look at when you're looking at going into Path of Exile 2 with a particular build archetype or style or whatever in mind. The other thing that I'd probably talk about with Path of Exile, and this will apply for Path of Exile 2, everybody has a different playstyle, right? So
Absolutely.
a build that is S tier subjectively to one person is not going to be S tier subjectively to another. So, for example, I'll give you a great example of this. I hate bow builds. I dislike them. I just don't find them very fun.
Yeah,
but
it's a
I
personal
love slow
thing,
melee builds. That's why I'm probably never really going to play a Deadeye, ever. Or someone's going to have to force me to do it. But I'm definitely going to play Warrior first because I love the Warrior. I love shield skills and stuff like that. That's the playstyle that I play to. So on that argument basis, I would say that, you know, Warrior is S tier and like E tier or F tier would be, you know, bow builds. But that wouldn't be appropriate for me to make that comment because what I enjoy is not what somebody else enjoys. And the way that Path of Exile works is all the classes have equally super powerful builds to a certain degree, and this has always been historically the way that it worked with Path of Exile 1, and I would assume that it's very likely the way that it'll work with Path of Exile 2. Anyway, to preface all of this
5, Austin.
I'd say that theory builds are fine, sharing ideas is perfectly fine, but advertising build guides and making really tall, unsubstantiated claims around these builds are going to be great, they're going to be the best, rah rah rah. You know, it's just going to mislead newer players in particular. And from my experience, and I've seen this for many years of making content for Path of Exile, is, you know, giving a new player a really bad user experience because you've misled them for some clicks or whatnot. That's what deters people from getting into games. And this is actually one of the problems that I saw over the years in Path of Exile 1, where you would have builds that would come out that would be really heavily gated builds, but would be very popularized early on. And then basically inexperienced players went to go play those builds and then ultimately failed. And so they just went, bugger it, I'm not coming back to the game. And this is where the comment from a lot of people was, you know, bugger this, I'm not even going to touch Path of Exile 1, I'm just going to wait until Path of Exile 2 comes out. And this is the biggest concern I see for people like rushing out doing build guides before we've even got the full, like, we don't even have the POB guys. Like, there's no way that you can put a build guide together right now. Like, you could do a hop and a skip theory crafting session, which is something that I'm personally going to do, right? And I'll say it, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to go through the keystones and come up with some anecdotes based on, you know, a guesstimated logic of approaching a build. But I'm not going to tell you, like, this is exactly how you should build the build, it's going to be fantastic or anything like that. I'm going to give you a bit of an idea of a direction to go in, and then we're going to test it together. And if it fails, it fails. If it's great, fantastic, then that'll formulate into a build. Anyway, to help you weed out or look through the different people or creators that may or may not be looking to mislead you in the YouTubes currently, I've put together not an exhaustive list, but a list of well-known and or trusted creators that have been around in Path of Exile 1 for quite some time and have not just the ability to interpret what's going to happen in Path of Exile 2 to a varying degree, but an extensive game knowledge of the original game, which helps in developing a build. The concepts in Path of Exile 2 are very similar to that of Path of Exile 1, and so the people that you should look for are people who have a track record of making builds in Path of Exile 1. Even if it be the last 6 to 12 months, they're going to know more about approaching a Path of Exile 2 than somebody who's made like 20,000, you know, I don't know, My Horse and Me videos.
We barely have 20% of the information, if that. Yeah. Audible node. Yeah, Crep, for sure. For sure. He'd be up there. I'm very interested to see what Jurgen says here.
Videos, and then yesterday they've uploaded a video about Path of Exile 2 about the builds that they believe are going to be super OP or whatever. I would trust these people, every single one of them, and I'll put a list down below of all the creators. And if you're
he's doing a
creator
list
that's been around for a long time, you're not on that list, I'm sorry, I just, you know, didn't sort of I just missed you. Feel free to message me and I'll add you in. But yeah, I wanted to do this video because I feel like there's such a community-driven element of Path of Exile that makes it such a great game, and I want to see every single person that plays the game have an excellent experience. I know I'm going to have a lot of fun in the game, and I hope my guides that I bring out bring a lot of fun to other people. I pride myself, and I know all these creators I've listed here pride themselves on the quality that they bring into their work, and making sure that their communities are serviced with the correct information and appropriate information. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. Thanks for tuning in, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and sub to the channel, and I'll be on Twitch a little bit later, and there'll be a new player video that'll come out probably tomorrow night, I hope.
Already did, bro. Already did. I don't know. It's a very slippery slope about that, but absolutely. I don't know. I didn't see any tier lists for builds, but clearly there was someone that did some ones that did, and because it got jumped at right away. So, okay, where's this Quinn video that you guys are talking about?
9 days to go until we all log in, and it's time for another POE 2 passive tree video.
Is this the
If
one?
you didn't know, I went to a POE 2 event a few weeks back, and
no.
9.
Is it a clip? Hey, Lennon Dove. Good night, man. Yeah, I'm on Quinn's YouTube video. Oh, this one? 7-minute one.
It's 7. Oh! 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 Oh my god, it's gonna be a unique design, isn't it? It's gonna be a unique design. It's gonna be a unique design. Here we go, boys. Here we go. Here we go. It's gonna be a unique design. Oh, bro, there's an arrow on it. There's an arrow on it. Surely it's not that complicated, right? Wait, is it actually another puzzle? Wait. Slide up. Let me in, you motherfucker! Wait, is it actually another puzzle? Are you trolling me right now?
What do you think?
How am I that stupid? It's a fucking box with an arrow in it! And it won't open!
Do the intuitive thing, you dumb fuck lol.
Look, arrow. We got arrow here. I yank this. Nothing happens. There's an arrow this way. I push it that way. Nothing happens. I pull and I do both at the same time. I'm about to smash it, bro. I'm about to smash it.
No.
I'm about to smash it.
No.
At this point, I'm allowed to smash this part, right?
No.
This is not a puzzle. This is like a fucking annoying container that won't open. This is an annoying container that won't open.
Yeah, it's.
I can't open it! It will not open! Arrow! Bro, I can't do it. I don't know what to tell you. I could smash this box. Is it ethical to smash this box? Is this
No.
part of the challenge? I
Yes.
think it's just a broken box. I can't smash this box. It's not ethical. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Boys, I have obligations. Literally, I cannot figure out how to get into the fucking box. I tried pushing it. I tried pulling it. I tried doing everything. There's an arrow there. I put it in with the arrow, thinking that's going to work. Put it in with the arrow. Fuck! Huh? 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 Oh!
In before they forgot to print the code on the paper, and this was all for nothing.
That's all you had to do, bro.
Oh!
Little patience.
Oh, shit, don't do that. It is out, boys. I repeat, we have the plastic off. The puzzle is solved. Pause the timer. Sub 10-hour run, baby. Ethical. Blind. Apparently, according to Jonathan, okay, he said it is a 90% chance to be a div card and a 10% chance to be unique. That's what Jonathan, he said it was purely random and no one was selected specially.
Yep.
Let's be real. How much cooler is a unique than a div card? It's about 100 times cooler, right?
Oh,
like you
yeah.
can design a unique
Come
and
on.
then build a character around a unique that
For
you designed, right?
sure,
Think about how cool it is.
unique.
It's so sick. I really hope that I really hope that isn't unique there.
He doesn't
Come on.
show the
I'm
code,
gonna look
does
at
he?
it, bro. I'm gonna look at it, bro. I'm gonna look at it. You're not gonna be able to tell. I'm gonna look at it, and I'm gonna do such a fucking.
okay.
I'm gonna be such a good actor. You're not gonna be able to tell. Okay, I'm opening it. It's open in front of me right now. It's open in front of me right now.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. You're not gonna. I'm gonna look at it, and you're not gonna tell. Oh, you don't know what it is. It doesn't tell you. I am going to redeem. I have to redeem the code. Give me a sec here. Okay, it's correct. I'm going to press check key right now. I'm going to press check key right now. Are you ready? I'm going to press it. 3, 2, 1. You are not going to be able to tell what I got. You're not going to be able to tell. Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! Fucking
Jesus
go,
Christ,
baby!
make your
That's what I'm
cover
fucking talking about!
99%
That's what I'm
mint.
fucking talking about!
Got
Let's
it.
go!
Solid 10
I got
kilos
that
in the
plate!
past
I'm
month.
pretty sure I pressed
Fat.
it! Screenshotting it? I'm screenshotting it. I'm going to paint. Wait, is this real? Wait, am I tripping? It's kind of surreal. I can't actually tell if this is real. Wait, this is real, right?
Wow, he got it.
Doubters losing points.
Shit.
Unique
Wow,
item design.
geez,
That's
Quinn.
definitely it, right?
GG's,
That's definitely
buddy.
it, right?
Wow.
That's it. That's it, bro. That's it. Oh, we're gonna make the most badass. Oh, fuck my thing just fell off, bro. Oh man, it is gonna be the most badass bleed unique you've ever
broke
seen,
his
baby.
mic.
Oh man. Oh, it's gonna be so fucking OP, bro. Oh boys, we are gonna make bleed great again. Let me tell you. Oh my god, it's gonna be so good. Okay, this thing ripped off.
He broke this mic.
Oh wait, I can make a unique in POE 2 chat. Like the game that I'm looking forward to the most out of any other game that's ever existed that's coming out soon. I'm allowed to design something.
Yeah.
That goes into it. Well, not really. It's kind of like you get to come up with an idea and then they get to like nerf the fuck out of it so it actually goes in the game. But that's still fucking crazy, right?
Oh God.
Okay, I broke it. I broke this.
Yeah, good job,
I
buddy.
don't know how I spoke out. I'm spoken out way too hard, bro, because I'm freaking out right now.
Yeah, good
Bro,
job.
did they rig it or did I just get lucky?
No, you got lucky, bro.
I never win a 1 in 10. I never win a 1 in 10. Never.
Go play lottery, man. Go play lottery.
I never win a 1 in 10, bro. Nah, it's not rigged. There's no way it's rigged. Well, I mean, it's a 1 in 10, right? That is like a...
Yeah, he had a 10% chance. Dented hat, clown mask. There's this unique item.
Yo. Oh my god, bro. Oh my
Wow.
god, bro.
GG's, Gwen.
Can't wait to one-shot boss using Hammer of the Gods with Conrex 0.2 APS 200 mace that he's inevitably going to design POE Medical's never stood a chance. Dude, the Shimoriori 2.0. He's so right, dude. Shimoriori 2.0.
Oh
He
my
knows me
God.
too well.
Crazy. Crazy. Wow. Fucking lucky as shit, man. All right. You guys mentioned
Hey guys.
Asmongold.
And with great...
Oh, sorry. The Dreamcore video? What about Dreamcore?
And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
All right, let's look at Dreamcore.
And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out.
We're in the deep web now, boys. Yeah.
9 days to go until we all log in, and it's time for another POE 2 passive tree video. If you didn't know, I went to a POE 2 event a few weeks back and was able to capture some of the passive skill tree, and I've been covering each section of the tree, discussing some of the more interesting nodes. Today it's the intelligence area of the tree, where the witch and sorceress start. Alright, let's begin with one of the reoccurring themes in this area of the tree, which is modifiers to scale energy shield recharge. In yesterday's video, I talked about how the POE 2 passive tree has much fewer options available for energy shield recovery, which is true, as there was no Ghost Reaver keystone in the version of the game that I played, and I also couldn't find any nodes for energy shield leech. However, access to scaling energy shield recharge has been largely increased, and no matter where you are in the intelligence section of the tree, you won't have to path very far to allocate some of these nodes. Keep in mind that energy shield recharge has a 4-second base delay before it begins in POE 2, but nodes like convalescence will help with that, reducing recharge rate but allowing it to start much faster as a trade-off. Essence infusion, on the other hand, provides a huge increase to recharge rate, improving the time you require to recover your ES back to full. Meanwhile, Dependable Ward and Rapid Recharge both have the same modifiers, and these are just solid boosts to Energy Shield Recharge, providing both of the stats you need to start recharging faster and recover more ES over time from this mechanic. There's also Refocus, which is going to be useful if you have high cast or attack speed to be able to proc the start of Energy Shield Recharge faster than it would have started naturally, especially considering the longer base delay compared to POE 1. However, it's important to mention that there is no Wicked Ward keystone on the tree in the version that I played, so you won't have that option to be able to prevent damage from stopping your recharge. Okay, let's stick with Energy Shield for a moment and cover some of the nodes which will help you against any incoming stuns on builds that are more focused on ES than life. Stun threshold is based on maximum life by default, so these types of builds typically need to find a way to become immune to stuns, or have their stun threshold based on their ES instead of life in POE 1. But in PoE 2, there's a lot more options available to solve this problem. For example, Dampening Shield, which grants a good chunk of increased maximum energy shield, and adds 12% of your maximum ES to Stun Threshold. So if you have 5000 energy shield, this modifier would add a flat 600 to your Stun Threshold. Hallowed provides more of this stat at 20% of maximum ES gained as additional Stun Threshold, but also helps you shake off a stun a bit faster as well. Then we have a few of the stronger nodes. Eldritch Will is one of only 3 or 4 nodes on the entire passive tree with increased maximum life. You get 3% each to life, mana and energy shield, and once again another 20% of max ES as added stun threshold. And Self-Mortification, which also grants 20% of max ES as added stun threshold, but also increases that stun threshold by 20% while you're on full life. This one is exceptionally good for an energy shield based CI build where you're always on full life to be able to fully benefit from that increased stun threshold. Alright, let's look at a few minion nodes on the left outer edge of the tree. This cluster here, firstly, Right Hand of Darkness, which grants 20% increased AoE to your minions and gives them a 10% chance to inflict Withered on hit. This is going to be really good to combo with some of those Chaos Dot abilities when you have minions that attack quickly, or just when you have a lot of minions to hit enemies. Meanwhile, on the opposite side of this cluster is a more defensive minion node in Left Hand of Darkness, which grants 20% additional PDR and 23% Chaos Res to your minions. But in the middle of this cluster is possibly the most important minion node on the entire tree. Lord of Horrors, which makes minion skills have 12% reduced reservation, so you can either use more of them, or invest less into spirit, or use any excess spirit you do have to reserve other powerful buffs. Okay, let's take a quick look at this node here, Breath of Fire. There's also an equal node for each of the other elements here on this wheel, and each of the small nodes also grants 6% pen for their respective element.
Jesus.
In general, penetration is much more accessible across the entire passive tree and is found in larger quantities, but there's a big reason for that. Because in PoE 2, penetration will no longer go into the negatives. This means that penetration has no effect against monsters that have no resistance to the type of damage you're dealing. Instead, it will be a tool to deal with monsters that do have resistance, such as bosses, but no longer a mechanic that is used as an excessive damage multiplier. Let's go back to Energy Shield for a moment and take a look at some of the largest increases to maximum ES on the tree, starting with Heavy Buffer. 40% increased max ES and 10% reduced maximum life. It's interesting to see a lot of the stronger nodes having trade-offs like this, almost like a keystone. There's also Melding, which is the same but with reduced mana instead of reduced life. Then there's Enhanced Barrier, which doesn't provide nearly as much increased maximum energy shield, but does grant 1% to all maximum elemental resistances, so that's a solid notable.
That is.
And check out this one, Patient Barrier. 60% increased maximum energy shield. That is wild. If you can overcome that downside, this one is going to be insane value. Necromantic Talisman is a keystone
It
located
recharges
near the outer
20%
edge, which
slower,
makes
though.
bonuses from your equipped amulet be applied to your minions instead of you. This is going to be ridiculous if that also includes any anoint that's on there. But otherwise, we're not too sure yet what sorts of modifiers will exist on amulets, so we'll have to wait and see for that. Another keystone at the outer edge of the tree is Whispers of Doom, which grants an extra curse at the cost of
Hey,
double
what's up,
the
Scott?
delay for curses to activate. This one will be a great keystone if you apply curses in ways that bypass the activation time, such as Blasphemy. Climate Change is Heat Shiver on the PoE 2 passive tree, that one's pretty cool. And Ice Walls is interesting. Ice crystals are a secondary mechanic similar to something like Jagged Ground or Aftershocks, where you can scale their effects to make those skills which interact with them more powerful.
Wow.
There's another notable next to this one which also reduces the life of ice crystals instead, if you want to go that route. Endless Blizzard is at the top of the tree, right at the outer edge, +1 to the level of all cold skills. That's going to be extremely valuable for a lot of Sork builds. And there's also Psychic Fragmentation, which grants a 24% chance for spells to fire 2 additional projectiles. That's really good, especially for something like Fireball, where the damage may overlap on explosions. Okay, we've saved the best till last, of course, and it's a bunch of stat stacking stuff again. Pure Power is right at the top of the tree and grants 2% increased lightning damage per 10 intelligence. Now, the fact that this is lightning damage is crazy considering we know that intelligence is going to grant a lot more mana in PoE 2. It grants 2 mana per int, and yesterday we saw the Archmage persistent buff shown off in the PoE 2 teaser, which combines incredibly well with this node. But if you want more reason to stack intelligence and mana, look no further than Arcane Intensity, which grants 3% increased spell damage per 100 maximum mana with no cap. That's going to be kind of ridiculous how much increased damage you can get by combining these two notables on an intelligence stacker. And what about modifiers to scale maximum mana? Well, aside from the 3% max mana on the Eldritch Will node from earlier, I could only find 2 notables in the intelligence section of the tree. Mana Blessing near the Witch and Sork start, and Raw Mana closer to the outer edge of the tree. I know that there's also a few notables in the Int Strength portion of the tree, so while mana didn't quite get the life treatment, it did get extremely limited compared to PoE 1. But there is one crazy keystone that we need to talk about at the end here, which doesn't really have anything to do with Int, but mana? Yes. Eldritch Battery is changed in PoE 2, and it now converts all of your energy shield into mana. This one is crazy, but there's a caveat. We know that conversion will work differently in PoE 2, at least on the damage side of things. We don't know if those mechanics will work the same for other conversion, but one would assume a uniform system across the game. And that would mean that energy shield converted to mana wouldn't remember its origin, and therefore it wouldn't be affected by modifiers to energy shield. In other words, you won't be able to scale the portion of energy shield converted into mana with modifiers to energy shield. Only mana modifiers would apply to it. And that's it. Some of the more interesting nodes on the intelligence aligned portion of the tree. Thanks for watching this video.
Great
and as
video.
always, stay tuned and stay safe.
Yeah, especially with the skill when doubling ES. Yeah. That was a good video. I already liked it and subscribed. Whew, nice.
Incredible PoE 2 passive tree nodes revealed strength area dex deep dive.
What is this?
Incredible PoE 2 passive tree nodes revealed strength area dex deep dive.
What does this do?
Did you guys notice I called it PoE like in the last video?
I haven't seen that.
Welcome back to another video. I was able to grab some of the PoE 2 passive tree during...
Okay. I gotta rewatch that.
Incredible PoE 2 passive tree nodes revealed strength area dex deep dive. Did you guys notice I called it PoE like in the last video?
Oh my god, too funny. All right, guys. Enough with the memes here. All right, so before we go, we're going to call it early tonight. Don't forget, if you need a key, head over to X and find me on X, Sammy Caps. We're doing some giveaways for keys. And just find my tweet. I think I started it yesterday. We're gonna pick over the weekend. So just find this tweet and make sure you just follow, like it, and retweet it. And good luck. Anyway, we're gonna call it early, guys. I got some administrative duties to take care of, and there's really not that much new stuff that came out tonight. So, you know what? Hopefully we got more to talk about tomorrow. If not, then we'll just, I'll do something else. We're not going to just talk about PoE 2 just for the sakes of talking about it. But I don't know who Try is interviewing tomorrow. I know Zizaran has an interview with Jonathan early next week. I don't know of any other Jonathan or GGG video interviews outside of the Zizaran one. Yeah. Anyway, all right. The other reason is I know a lot of you guys in the U.S. are prepping for Thanksgiving. So if I don't see you before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to all of my U.S. friends there. Happy eating, happy football watching. I'm super envious. I've celebrated 2 or 3 U.S. Thanksgivings. They're an amazing, amazing holiday. So, you know what? Have a good one, guys. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you on the next one. And yeah, good night, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving to our American friends.